Hi, this is another of my Mars videos. I'm looking at a photograph that I downloaded directly from NASA Mars Curiosity Rover website. Um, I don't know if I've still got the original link to it because I downloaded it a while ago, but I've only just had the time to look at it. But I have got the original title, which I'll leave underneath this video. I'm going to show quite a few anomalies here, and also I must say I've no idea of the scale of what we're looking at in terms of distance, as to how big or small the objects are that we'll be looking at. For all I know, the foreground could be what we'd see at our feet. So, we can only guess as to how far in the distance these things really are. I suppose NASA could answer our questions about that. But unfortunately, NASA doesn't seem keen to answer our questions. They spend billions on sending these probes to Mars, like the NASA Curiosity rover, and they give us these pictures. I think the least we can do is examine them, and study them to see what we can learn from them. I think even if we learn only that the whole Curiosity rover Mars mission is a complete hoax, we've learned something. Because there are a lot of people who believe that there are no rovers on Mars, and actually we're just seeing things from Earth. So it may be that there's perfectly rational explanation for the anomalies in this video that I'm going to show, that basically it was shot on Earth. It could also mean, however, that there has been intelligent life on Mars, and that these are indicators, or that intelligent life has visited Mars, and possibly even perhaps humanity in ancient times has visited Mars. All these things that we're going to look at are debris from previous NASA missions. But as I say, without any dialogue, open debate and dialogue from NASA, we're all just left playing a guessing game. And when we look at the photographs, they do at first glance appear, it's a pretty barren landscape. But then, as we look at the details within these photographs, certain things stand out from the rest of the background. So, for example, this is strange on this landscape. When we look at all the other rocks around it, we can see it's very straight line. It looks intelligently designed, and as we zoom in, we can see it looks stepped. These vertical lines aren't pixels because we can see them reflected in the step, the shadow here. So that is a strange object, and just behind it, this circular thing here. Is that a rock covered with sand? Just here, there's something with things protruding from the top of it. Here we have what looks like a floating disc, or is it something standing on stones, on legs? And then here we have this object, which again looks to be intelligently designed. It has a indentation here. It's got like a metallic ping shine to it. It seems to be standing at an angle. We can see from its shadow it's leaning towards the sun, and it seems to be leaning on something just here. There seems to be. Is that something that's connected to it? That isn't reflection from the sun, that is a white object. As we zoom out we can see, because it's underneath there, so it is actually in the shadow. We can see where the shadow is, so that's not reflection from sunlight. So those are the first few anomalies, and then as we move forward, I must say that there's these things. I seem to see quite a lot of these things embedded in the surface of Mars. I don't know if there's some sort of fossilised life form. I don't know. But anyway, moving on, there's this, which again looks intelligent design. It's got the metallic ping shine to it. It seems to have definite design to it, shape, features, and it seems to be like a sort of cup shape almost. And then just along from here we have this. At first glance I thought that looks just like the rock standing with the sun shining on it and a bit of white rocks in the distance. But it was this that sort of confused me a bit, because it seems to be in the shade here where the face is, if it is indeed a figure with a face. There seems to be a shadow falling just there, with sunlight falling here. And because that rock is directly behind this rock, which you can see the shadow spreads out, and yet this is in bright sunlight. So I don't know, is it a figure behind a rock, or is this a figure, or is there no figure there at all? I don't know, but as we zoom in onto it, we can see the shadow stops here, whereas really, looking at the height of that, shadow stops there. And we can see this area is very white compared even to this, which is in direct sunlight. It isn't as white as this. So this is a reflective surface. It's obviously paler than this. So anyway, that's one anomaly that, as I say, it does look odd, but it could be just the light play on the rock. But then right next to it we have this. So even if that isn't a figure, we still have all these other strange objects. And this. At first, again, I thought this was a play of light on the rock, but then when I zoomed in, it was the shadow that gave it away here. And it really does look like a propeller. And as you can see, the convex shape and the shadow which reflects this oval end, and we can see even the bend in the shadow, and there's a kind of button in the middle, and the whole convex shape of it is leaning against this rock. And as we zoom out, and then here there's this object, which again, it seems to be on something circular, but it doesn't seem to fit in with the rest of the landscape again. And when we connect it to this, and then there's this box thing, which, you know, there seems to be something colourful here. Is it a box? It seems to have some colour in it. Or is that just a, you know, pixel? I don't know. And then here we have this object, which again does seem to have some kind of intelligent design to it. It appears squarish, straight lines. It appears almost to have some sort of technological features to it. This. So just having a look at these couple of things, you know, which, as I say, it's only when you really start looking that you notice. That does look like a propeller. And when we zoom out of it, it is something leaning on the rock and it's casting a shadow, just as you would expect. And then here we have these two objects, which at first glance appear like rock. They're the same colour as the rocks around. And at first I thought that they were rocks. I just assumed they were rocks, but it was this shadow, again, that attracted my attention. Because there's a definite tail there, and the shadow is falling exactly in the spot that you would expect it to, with the sun shining in the way it is in this image. So if we zoom on in onto this, you see that rather than rock, it appears to be like some kind of material, almost like a camouflage, like if something's been camouflaged, because there's something white underneath there, there's something white underneath there. So if this is the Martian landscape, this would be Martian camouflage. Why would they be needing camouflage? I just think that's very strange, and I don't know of any rock that, you know, has a feature like that, and that bends. And even, you know, as we go zooming close to it, you can see the features don't break down. They still remain very clear. So those are the first few anomalies that I found. But then also, if we come across to this part of the image, there's this, which again seems to have some sort of design to it. Is it a fossil? Is it a man-made thing that, you know, that NASA's dropped on Mars, or is it an alien artifact? Is it an original Martian intelligently created artifact? We just, you know, something like that, it does stand out, again, odd from the rest of the background, you see. And again, where you find one odd thing, oh, suddenly there's this here. What is this? Is this a rock with... It looks like it's some kind of controller, like a toggle, or a gear stick. It's, you know, it'd be good if somebody else would have a look at these who've got better software than I have for enhancing images and clarifying things, because my videos are really just very rudimentary, basic videos. Anyway, again, this is the third object now in this image, besides these two artifacts, which do look like they've been fashioned, but then there's this. What is that? To me, it looks like the end of a clasp on a bracelet. Like a metallic clasp, and there's the ring. Like something was tied. And I think out of everything we've looked at in this image, this, to me, is the most compelling, because there's just no way that it can be a rock. We can see that there is a hole in the centre, and we can see the shadow where it's raised slightly above the ground. We can see what looks like bended metal. We can see the slight ping, the metallic shine to it. We don't know how big it is. It could be very small, the size of a bracelet necklace. It could be a large ring that held a big rope, you know. But with no scale, I can't really say for sure. But I've noticed that there's what looks like round circular things around it, with a part of it, with these parts of whatever was on this rope or chain, you know. But as I say, I think we can all become Martian explorers. I mean, if we take the images at face value and say, okay, then these are from Mars. This is the Martian landscape, and take some time to explore and just have a look and ask questions. What's this? What's that? Because that is the only way we're ever going to find anything out, you know. And also, I think it's quite wrong if NASA just throws these images at us. It spends all that money and then just gives us these images, and then isn't prepared to openly discuss what is found in the images, and to, you know, openly take on board certain ideas or take on board certain evidence, you see. And as I say, I think there's enough, even in one image like this, to raise questions. To raise a question about what it is we're actually looking at here. Because, you know, that does have a definite feature, and even that is so strong, that ridge, that it's all of this is in total shadow. And as I say, even when we, as we can see, even when we zoom in, it keeps its integrity of shape. It doesn't lose anything. So I think that is pretty odd for sure. The figure I'm not so sure about. I think it could be just the rock. I'm just not so sure, you see, about the way this light falls, and this bit, this white, what looks like something joining from there to there. I don't know. It's just because there's this black bit in the middle, this dark bit, and then this is very, very white, as if the sun's shining directly on it, but we can see all of this is in the shade. So that could just be the shade of the rock. Is it a long rock that's white here? I don't know. There's just something odd looking about that that's behind it. Um, but as I say, I think the propeller, there's no denying that it really does look like a propeller. Even, the closer you get up to it, the more it looks like a propeller. The shadow, usually when you go right into these things, they lose all definition, but that actually looks more defined as you get into it. And as I say, just the whole way it's balanced from there to there. And then this image, this object here. I just think it is really interesting anyway, and I think it would be of major significance if we found out that there had been life on Mars, or that intelligent life has visited Mars. It might even say something about where we originate from, if there was intelligent life on Mars that created these artifacts and we're just witnessing them today. Or even if Mars has been visited by life, alien intelligence from outside our solar system, then that tells us there is other intelligent life in this universe, and it tells us we're not alone. And who knows what impact that might have on human consciousness. Maybe that is part of the reason why we went to explore Mars in the first place. Because we are searching and seeking. Is there anyone else out there? Is there anybody there? Perhaps once there were people living on Mars who created this. Or perhaps we have no rovers on Mars at all. And like I say, at least we'll learn something about our own world. So, but either way, take the photos at face value, and do take time to explore them and look at them. Even, you don't necessarily have to find anything odd. I think if this is Mars, it is a wonderful thing that we're able to view such images of another planet in our solar system. And because we are here today, because these planets are here, our planet is in its particular orbit, in the so-called Goldilocks zone for life. And so that means the whole of our solar system is alive, and our sun, our star, local star, lives because life thrives on Earth. I must say, I do find these pictures a bit strange, how it's very, a lot clearer here than it is here. It seems to be really quite blurred out along here. Just along this line, whereas you can see it's very clear there. So, these could be tiny, tiny little things that we're seeing here. But as I say, I do find that particularly strange. And although they're very little things, and this is just a very, very little thing, and yet it could be the biggest thing that we've found, on Mars. Because, as I say, it is something that we recognise. There is a definite ring on it. it does look like something that held a chain or a rope. And we have 3 unusual looking things all together. Well, a few really, if you count these and the bead looking like things here, because they do look like cylindrical with holes in. And then this, and then this little toggle thing. You know, was that a clasp? Was that part of this? Somehow, were they all together? All these things. I think it's really interesting, and as I say, you know, let's talk about it. And NASA, really, you need to have a public discussion and a public debate, and you know, let the public tell you what they found, and help us to clarify. And if anybody who's got better software, you know, if you can show these images and tidy them up, you'll just show me that, you know, I've got it all wrong because of my low quality PC viewer, that, you know, I'm totally wrong, and these are all just normal natural objects that just look strange. They're just light plays. Either way, I am interested. I'm interested to know what they are and what we're looking at here, because, you know, I would like to know if life had existed on Mars, and I would like to know if to see evidence, to witness evidence of other intelligent life in our universe. So anyway, that's all I have to share. And, you know, as I say, have a look yourself, become a Martian explorer. And thank you very much for listening and watching, and wishing you all well, and happy Martian exploring.